Hi everyone, I'm Kathy Dawson. Welcome to Can You Relate? Cleveland's relationship show. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. If you're back for several more times, welcome again. Now, one of the things that I talk about with my clients frequently is that relationships are all about boundaries. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. This actually happened. I'm not kidding, seriously. Yesterday, I'm in the doctor's office, and I'm sitting in the waiting room. There's a woman sitting next to me 2 seats away talking on her cell phone really loudly. I mean, she's saying things that are really personal, like, mad, she's got hemorrhoids. Okay, I mean, these are things like I really don't want to know about. So this is about boundaries. In our world today, with technology, do we overstep boundaries? I mean, it's kind of, everything's squishy. So what I'm excited about is our first guest today is all about boundaries because she's an etiquette expert. So let's get started. We all know the magic words, please, thank you, you're welcome, but do we use them? Especially in this world of technology. Have we lost the sense of etiquette? I'm so excited to have Catherine Holloway here. You're an etiquette expert, and you're the owner of Etiquette Consulting Services. Right. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
So tell me, what's going on in our world? Do you get a sense that, I mean, you're needed, truly.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do you think technology adds to that?
I think it definitely adds to it because people don't have any boundaries. I mean, I was once even in a home improvement store and there was a gentleman talking on his cell phone to his attorney about the divorce, about custody, about everything. But what was sad about it, besides the fact that I had to hear his entire life, was that he actually was representing himself because he had his company's logo not only on his jacket but also on the shirt he was wearing. And then he was paying with a company credit card. So I knew about him, his personal life, and then I also knew the company he worked for, which was his own company. So it's like that was not something I, as a potential client, needed to know.
Now, the word etiquette, I take French, just so you know. I love French. Etiquette is a French word, and it sounds a little bit intimidating, but what exactly does it mean?
It actually means ticket.
Does it?
If I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it means ticket and sort of like your entry ticket to different social circles.
Oh, based on your behavior, probably.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So what are some things that you come into people's homes, I'm guessing, or companies perhaps, and teach them about boundaries and etiquette?
Well, you know, everything I do is reference to using your good manners is about boundaries because it's making other people feel comfortable. Yes. So whether you're even in your own home, which is where I like to really stress a lot of manners and etiquette training when I'm with my students, when I'm with adults, or whether you're out in public. To do both, because I think a lot of times people want to take classes because they want their children or they want their young professionals or they want their new employee to be able to handle themselves in the workplace. But manners really starts at home. It starts from the moment you wake up to greeting everybody with a good morning to how you treat the people that you actually live with. That's like the inner business circle, as I say.
I see, because this is kind of a myth. When I think of people in my home, I think, oh, I can do whatever I want because I'm comfortable in my home. But you're saying no.
No, I just think it really starts at home. I think how you relate and talk to your spouse is how your spouse is going to sort of really hopefully talk back to you. How you model that behavior is how your children are going to see relationships.
That's true.
And how you want your children to talk to you and how you talk to them. And how they also see you talking to other people on the phone or how they see you greeting people at the door. I mean, I think home manners is so important because you get so many wonderful tools for training and teaching within that circle that then your spouse and your children are going to take out into their own little social circles.
Do you find that all the technology today, the social media, the laptops, the cell phones, is that kind of bleeding into people not using etiquette out in the world?
Oh, it bleeds totally. It bleeds totally from the dining table to the living room to carpooling to just going out to the movie with your family, to the restaurant with your family, to the restaurant with your friends and your family. I mean, it just totally invades every single part of your personal space.
Right.
And the boundaries that I personally don't think there are any boundaries. And you sort of like have to say to people, can you put that away? Or can you just like not text right now? Or even if you're watching a movie and some people have their laptop open while you're watching a movie at home, can you put your laptop away?
Right.
Like this is family time. It's not we're all watching a movie and you're texting and you're in your laptop and you're doing this over here. Even though we're all sitting on the same couch together,
right?
We're really not all together.
That is such a good point.
So you really just need to kindly, with nice words, of course, just communicate to your family, communicate to your friends, and obviously your friends and and professionals in the proper manner, you know, what the boundaries are. Because if you don't set up boundaries, then it's a free-for-all.
Oh, it is.
And if it's a free-for-all, then society gets broken down, and it's just totally disrespect one after another. And then if you're having people disrespect their parents, then they're going to disrespect authority, they're going to disrespect teachers.
And it's a legacy you just pass down.
They're going to disrespect people when they go to the drugstore. Instead of like talking to the clerk at the drugstore, they're going to be talking on the phone or texting while the person is bringing them out. And then that person doing customer service is not going to say thank you or give you eye contact because you didn't give them that respect.
Right.
So what are they supposed to interrupt you when you're on the phone to say, excuse me, thank you for shopping here.
You know,
Hello.
so for 35, 40 years ago, who would think we would need you?
Yeah,
but I'm
it's
glad we have you because we need you.
Thank you so much.
If you have a situation at home or at work or anywhere in life, Catherine can help you, and you can get a hold of her by going to your website at etiquetteconsultingservices.com.
Exactly.
Now, you're going to stay on the couch with us.
I'm so excited.
Great. For our next segment, which is Relationship Roundup. So we'll be right back.
Up next, you ask, he answers, you ignore. Our Relationship Roundup team gives their opinion on why we don't take our mate's advice. And later in the show, do your investments add up? We'll teach a lesson in asset arithmetic.
Infrared breast imaging is a non-invasive breast scan that has no touch, pain, or radiation, and it can detect abnormalities years before a mammogram. So schedule your IRBI scan at 440-239-3438 or visit our website at tenpennyinc.com, where you can be an IRBI girl.
I just love this segment. It's Relationship Roundup. It's my chance to be able to have friends on the show. And I want to introduce you to them. But first I want to talk about the fact that we have a question that we do in this segment where we throw it in the middle and we all give our perspective on it. Let me introduce you to Patrice Blakemore. Again, welcome back.
Thank you, Kathy.
Patrice, you are a confidence coach, and you always look so confident. You have 3 sons.
Yes, I do.
Christina Forward, you're new to the couch. Welcome.
Thank
and
you.
You're a new mom. You have a little baby girl.
11 months old, yes.
And you've been married 2 years?
3 years.
Welcome. And Catherine Holloway, you were just on our last segment. You've been married 19 years?
19 this year.
This year, and you have a 16-year-old.
16-year-old.
Okay, well, welcome. And y'all look great with all these colors next to each other. So here's the question. When we ask our husbands or our partners for advice, why is it we as women do not take it?
Because they don't give the right answer.
So in other words, we have a preconceived notion of what we want them to say.
Absolutely.
Is that what you're saying?
And they never give the right answer. And I just keep hoping that after so many years of marriage that he's going to get it right. No, it doesn't happen.
Now, I'm going to play the devil's advocate, and you tell me what you think. If you know the answer already, why are we asking?
I ask, and sometimes I get the answer I want, but I ask because I think the way that he perceives things is so different, and he really shows me maybe an angle that I wasn't expecting.
Okay.
And then I sort of have to like step back and say, that's an interesting approach. And what I try to do sometimes is blend them two together if I can, like blend what I want to what he wants together to sort of come to a happy medium.
And do you do that just so he feels better?
No, I usually do it with a lot of things. That's just the way we operate.
Okay. All right.
But because I think he has really great ideas, and his vision and his ideas are sometimes, I think, more creative and better than mine. Sometimes I think I'm out of the box, but I think he's really out of the box.
Right.
So he kind of gives me something that maybe I just can't see.
Okay. How about you, Christine, when you ask Brad?
Well, I agree. I think that I ask him advice a lot on many different things. Sometimes because I really want his opinion. Sometimes it's to justify my opinion on something.
Totally.
Yes.
That's why I do it.
And other times it's just to open up conversation, just to, you know,
going.
sometimes we'll start on the color of painting the kitchen and then end up on politics, you know?
Right.
Just sometimes it's just fun to see where it goes.
Sure.
And sometimes it's for negotiation. I know, like when you said painting, like we just remodeled a year or so ago. So I was like, okay, you can pick the paint color for this room.
Right.
And once that was agreed to, then I was like, okay, then I can pick the paint color for that room. Just sort of like negotiate and.
So there is a negotiating piece to the whole thing, but I have to tell you, I mean, here, I'm a relationship coach, and I'm saying this on the air. I'll ask my husband, and he'll give me the advice, and I'll go, okay, thanks. And then I go and do something else that drives him nuts. And what I say to him is, and you tell me if you agree with this, I'm gathering, okay? So I kind of preface it with, look, I'm asking your advice. I want you to know I'm just gathering different opinions, and I may take my own advice, but I am interested, okay? So if you can relate to this question and you want to be on this couch, this is major fun. Think about this. Bring your girlfriends down, go for lunch, and be part of the Relationship Roundup. Stay tuned because we have Rate Your Relationship next. Thanks so much, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is your home a battleground for the chore wars? When you're running and maintaining a household, you both need to be on the same side. How well do you and your mate manage your home together? Do you do the chores you don't mind doing and assume the other person will do the ones you detest? Assume one of you will handle all of the outside chores and the other will deal with all the inside duties. Assume that because you are working outside of the home, that your mate will handle all of the household chores. Kathy is ready to bring both sides to the bargaining table for some serious labor negotiation.
If you answered yes to any of these questions, there's a good chance you have some assuming going on in your relationship. And nowhere do assumptions happen more than in the area of practical life. We have these things in our heads. We think, well, they're going to do this chore and I'll do this chore, and really they don't know they're supposed to do that chore. So one of the things that I teach people is to create what's called a division of labor list. This is where you and your partner sit down and make a list of as many chores as you can think of inside and outside of the house. You put your initials next to which ones you don't hate doing, okay? Then you throw the kids in there, because of course they're going to help. Then you go back through and you say, is it daily? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? Is it seasonally? So then you have it in black and white. No, it's not etched in stone, but at least you have a springboard for conversation, a frame of reference. So if you know someone who would like to take this survey, they can do so by going to CanYouRelateTV.com. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more of Can You Relate in just a second.
Just ahead, grab your calculators. We've enrolled you and your mate in Money Math 101. And later, doctor's orders. It's time for your appointment. We'll help you chart a successful visit.
For those who struggle with drug and alcohol addiction, finding the courage to change is the first step to lasting recovery. Discover life in recovery. Discover Glen Bay.
Glen Bay, nationally recognized drug and alcohol treatment for adults. Discover more at glenbay.com.
How are your math skills? Especially when it comes to investments. Well, guess what? We have a tutor. We have Ken Butsey here, as usual, who unwinds everything and helps us figure everything out. You're going to talk about how to help us figure out mathematically what's a good investment, what's not a good investment.
Well, what we have a lot of times is people will come into the office and they'll say something like, I just can't figure this out. I don't understand why a certain indices has this return and I'm not getting this kind of return.
What, for everybody out there, what's an indices?
Just, for instance, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is an index, or the S&P 500,
okay.
Right? Maybe they'll get their account statement and it'll compare it to a certain index or whatnot.
I see.
And what we often find is that the way that they're in their mind, the way that they're calculating isn't the way that investments are actually calculated. So I can walk you through a quick example if you like.
Great.
Okay. Let's say, for instance, you start with $100. And in the first year, you got a 50% return, which is pretty good, right?
Does that ever happen?
Sure.
And look, we've got this up here.
Oh, wow.
I love this screen.
Okay, so at the end of the year, you got a 50% return.
Okay.
The next year, you didn't do so hot. You lost 50%.
Okay.
The next year after that, you got 50%. You lost 50%, you got 50%. So after 5 years, you had a positive 50%. So if you take 50%, divide that by 5, you get a 10% return, right?
Pretty good.
Okay, but let's find out what happened to your money, though. Your money, you had $100, you went to 150, you dropped down to 75, you went up to 112, you dropped down to 56, and you ended at 84. So you lost money. What in fact happened is, even though the average, the arithmetic return on your money was 10%, what you actually did is you lost 3.34% each year. And a lot of people mess that up when they're calculating the returns. But more importantly, they don't understand what they're comparing it to, how it's calculated. And so all of these different indices that are out there have a different methodology in how they're calculated.
So what's the right way to calculate?
The geometric way. The way that you're going to end up with a negative 3.34 is the right way to calculate it.
I know. Okay, so how does the average person figure out how to do that?
Well, a lot of times companies are doing it for them now on their statements, and there's a financial calculator that you can do it. There's a mathematical formula that you can use. I usually carry around a calculator such as this, which is a functional calculator, which can make but
okay.
What I'm trying to convey to people is a total understanding of why something may not be working out as well as they thought it was in their mind. Okay.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, because I'll go and I'll look at the statement and I'll think, oh, good. And then in reality, it's not there, and then you get upset.
So I think a few shows ago, we discussed really quickly a behavioral scientist group that studies investment returns called Dalbar, okay?
Yes.
And one of the studies that they have out there shows that the average mutual fund investor over a 20-year period of time has basically had a very low rate of return, 1 or 2% return, whereas the S&P 500, for instance, has had an 8% return. Okay. I happen to believe in another theory as to why investors don't do well, and that's called the odd lot theory, which states that when things are going really well, the investor wants to get in, and that's when they want to buy in. And so what's happening is, because they don't have huge amounts of dollars, they're buying small lots at a time.
Okay.
And there are some of us who believe that can be a bearish sign, because the small investor makes bad decisions. And the opposite is true when we get someone in the office and we say, hey, things look good right now for this sector. For instance, a couple of years ago, you may not have thought, okay, well, we should be putting our money into whatever, large cap stocks, I'm just making that up, because they were low, and you couldn't get investors to say this is a good time to put it in. They oh no, that's been losing 30%,
so it's reverse.
40%.
It's like when it's low, that's when you want to get in, right? Because then it's going to go
well,
up.
in theory, that's what you would hope, is that you're buying something when that has depressed so much for whatever reasons,
right,
that hopefully you're trying to buy at the bottom. And what I'm saying, these studies have proven that small investors historically haven't been doing that, and I think it's a combination of a bunch of things. They're not calculating their returns correctly. They don't understand how they're calculated, what they're measuring against. They don't understand how those are calculated, and they get caught up in emotions.
I'm not calculating anything. Okay, so if you're not into calculating, you might want to give Ken Butsey a call, because clearly you got this thing you're carrying around in your pocket. And to do that, you call him at 216-751-4229, or go to your website at integrityfirstplanners.com. As always, you're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay tuned, because we have more of Can You Relate coming up.
Next, the doctor will see you now. We'll prescribe how to make the most of your time together. Then, can you talk about a topic too much? Coach Kathy suggests a solution for settling a sore subject.
Here is one of the biggest relationship myths out there. People don't fall out of love, they forget out of love. So to ensure this doesn't happen to you and your mate, I recommend you each make a list called the 10 Things I Love About You. On this list, you can include physical qualities you love about your partner, things he or she does that you love, and things he or she stands for, those abstract qualities. Once you've written your lists, carve out some special time to sit face to face and read them to one another. Wait, you're not done. After you've read them, I want you to each frame your list, present it to one another, then display the list you've written somewhere you will see it regularly. Look at the list of things you most love about your mate, not only when you're feeling all warm and fuzzy about him or her, but also when you're irritated or upset. Because remember, people don't fall out of love, they forget out of love.
Everybody wins when you decide to donate your ride to Our Lady of the Wayside.
Our Lady of the Wayside is so much more than a car donation program. For over 40 years, we've helped thousands of physically and mentally challenged citizens live more comfortable lives within our network of homes. Our services range from assisting with personal care to developing productive personal growth. With your generous support and help, we can reach out to so many more. Y'all can help. Visit wayside.org or stop in to see us today. You can change lives.
When you have a medical issue, it can totally affect your relationship. And for women in particular, one of the common conditions that we have are fibroid tumors. So we have Dr. Deepak Arora from St. Vincent's. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me.
You're going to talk and help us understand some new treatment that you have to treat fibroid tumors.
That's right.
So what is that?
Let me give you a little background on little fibroids. In this country, we are doing something like 600,000 hysterectomies a year.
Really?
And 90% of them for our benign conditions.
Wow.
And 35% of all the hysterectomies done in the United States are for fibroid uterus. So that has a both economic and social cost.
Right.
People can be off for work anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. Particularly, we have a lot of single moms who can't take 4 or 6 weeks off.
No way.
So more and more procedures are going in the direction of outpatient procedures, where people can get back to their normal lives and working lives in a very quick fashion.
And this new one that you're here to talk about, is this an outpatient procedure? Or do you stay overnight one night? Or?
We keep them overnight for pain management.
Okay.
But it is done under what we call conscious sedation. Patient is awake.
Okay.
Anyone who has a colonoscopy will know you are conscious, but you don't feel any pain or incision that we have to make to put the catheter in there.
So now, how does this work? What exactly is happening in your body that's getting rid of these fibroids? Or
it is not getting rid of the fibroids; it is shrinking them.
Oh.
The fibroids depend on the blood supply.
Okay.
And they are in different segments of the uterus. It can be inside the cavity, they can be in the wall, or can be protruding into the abdominal cavity.
Okay.
So what is done, and they have very high volume of blood supply.
Mm-hmm.
So the way this procedure is done is a catheter is introduced through the femoral artery in the groin.
Okay.
And threaded into the uterine artery, and we have very fine pellets under fluoro. They are injected. What they do is they go and block the blood supply to the fibroids.
It's like Star Wars.
Correct. And
that's amazing.
And then, because of the lack of the blood supply, they start shrinking. It will be the same thing that what happens in postmenopausal age, when the blood supply decreases to the uterus and lack of hormones, they shrink in size.
Okay. You have one other procedure you and I were talking about. I'd like you to mention that real quickly, and then I want to talk about an event that you're having.
Mm-hmm.
It's for people who have heavy menstrual cycles.
Heavy menstrual cycle, in the same breath, a lot of hysterectomies are done for heavy menstrual cycles.
Really?
Yes. So about 8-10 years ago, the newer procedures started coming in called thermoablation.
Okay.
Thermoablation is a procedure where it's just like a DNC.
Okay.
Patient goes to the hospital or sometime in the surgery centers or even doctor's offices nowadays, where you put a balloon into the uterus and then heat the sugar water that we put in the balloon.
Okay.
It is all controlled by a computer.
Uh-huh.
And within 8 minutes, the procedure I do, you have a passive heat that goes and destroys the baseline of the endometrium.
What I like about this is you're offering people options.
Correct.
So would you tell everybody the event that you have coming up? It's on March 9th, right?
March 9th in St. Vincent Charity Campus in Solon.
There it is. And this is you're going to talk about those two, at least the first procedure you were talking about with the fibroids. That's part of it, right?
No, I think, yes, fibroid is a part of it, but we are basically, our talk is about an hour.
Okay.
And we have same thing for heavy vaginal bleeding, fibroids, and different options women have.
Fabulous. Okay.
We don't
That's
concentrate
terrific.
on one because everybody wants something different.
It's all about options. Doctor, thank you
Choice.
so much for being here.
Thank you.
If you'd like to learn more about this, you can get a hold of St. Vincent's at their website, stvincentcharity.com, or give you a call at 216-861-6200. Thanks again for being on.
Thank you.
Stay tuned because we've got Get a Life coming up.
Coming up, she talks, he listens, and listens, and listens. Kathy speaks up on handling a never-ending issue. And next week, meet the Queen of Coupons. She'll help you slash your spending and reap royal savings. Next week on Can You Relate with Kathy Dawson.
Craig and Mark Lindell and Grange Insurance understand that life is a series of brushstrokes, large and small. Moments from the everyday to the extraordinary. As you move through your world, let Grange Insurance and Lindell Insurance put the finishing touches on an insurance plan to meet your needs. Having Lindell Insurance and Grange handle your insurance while you stay in the moment. Now that's a stroke of genius.
This is our Ask Coach Kathy segment. This is where you get the chance to write a question into me and I will answer it on the air anonymously. So this is this week's question. Kathy, I need your help. I love my wife, but she's driving me crazy. Whenever she's worried about something or has a problem, she talks about it a lot. She'll explain the situation to me and what she knows she needs to do to handle it. Great, I think it's done. But then she comes back a few hours or a day later and talks about it again. I thought she fixed the problem. Why does she keep talking about it? Okay, here's why. I normally don't generalize. I stay away from that, but I'm going to generalize. In general, women are processors. We like to talk about things over and over again because it helps us figure out what the solutions are. Men in general like to come up with it and fix it, and that's it. So when your wife is processing, try to be patient with her and validate her feelings. But the most important thing is to let her process. So thank you so much for tuning in to Can You Relate? You're going to want to tune in next week because we have Dr. Sherry Penpenny coming in to talk about the Halo breast exam. Have a great week.
Wardrobe provided by Aurora Farms Premium Outlets. Hair and makeup courtesy of John Roberts Salon and Spa. Want to learn more about today's topics, suggest segments, or add your input? You can do all this and more at CanYouRelateTV.com. Can You Relate with Kathy Dawson is presented by CK Media Productions.